The rejection hurt so much because you truly believed this time was different. You convinced yourself they saw something in you that others missed. You replayed every conversation, every smile, every moment that felt like maybe, just maybe, you were finally the one someone would choose. And now you're sitting there wondering if you'll ever be enough for anyone. Let me tell you something that might sting at first, but will set you free. The pain you're feeling isn't really about them. It's about the story you told yourself. The story that your worth depends on being chosen by someone else. It's about the fantasy you built in your head where their love would finally prove you were worthy of love. If this feels like I'm reading your mind, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you struggle to say no to the most. I read every single comment, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Here's what really happened. You didn't fall in love with them. You fell in love with the possibility of finally being seen, finally being picked, finally being the one someone couldn't live without. You fell in love with the version of yourself you thought you could become in their eyes. But here's the brutal truth. You were trying to heal a childhood wound through adult love, and that never works. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself attracted to people who are emotionally unavailable? How many times have you been drawn to the chase, to the uncertainty, to the feeling that if you could just be good enough, perfect enough, they would finally choose you? That's not love. That's trauma repeating itself. Carl Rogers taught us that we have an innate need for unconditional positive regard. But somewhere along the way, you learned that love was conditional. You learned that you had to earn it, perform for it, chase it. Maybe it was a parent who only showed affection when you achieved something. Maybe it was a teacher who made you feel invisible unless you were perfect. Maybe it was friends who only included you when you were useful to them. And every rejection since then has been that same childhood wound reopening. Every time someone doesn't text back, every time someone chooses someone else, every time someone says they're not ready for a relationship, it's not just about them. It's about every time you felt not good enough, not worthy, not chosen. The reason this rejection feels different is because you've been carrying the weight of every person who didn't choose you. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between being rejected by your crush and being ignored by your mother when you were 7. It's the same abandonment wound, just wearing different clothes. And here's what makes it worse. You've been unconsciously seeking out these situations. You've been drawn to people who remind you of your earliest wounds because your nervous system thinks that if you can just get them to love you, you'll finally heal that original pain. But that's not how healing works. But here's what I need you to understand. Their rejection isn't evidence of your unworthiness. It's evidence that you're still looking for external validation to fill an internal void. You're still waiting for someone else to give you permission to love yourself. You're still operating from the belief that someone else's opinion of you is more important than your own. John Bowlby's attachment theory shows us that our early relationships shape how we approach love as adults. If you grew up feeling like you had to earn love, you're going to keep attracting people who make you feel like you have to earn love. If you grew up feeling anxious about whether you were loved, you're going to seek out relationships that recreate that anxiety. It's not bad luck. It's your nervous system seeking what feels familiar, even if it hurts. The person who rejected you? They did you a favor. They showed you that you're still operating from a place of scarcity, still believing that being chosen by someone else is more important than choosing yourself. They held up a mirror to your deepest fear, that you're not enough. And now you get to decide if you want to keep believing that lie. But here's the part that might be hard to hear. They probably sensed your desperation. They probably felt the weight of your need for validation. And that's not attractive to anyone, especially not to someone who is secure in themselves. Secure people don't want to be responsible for someone else's self-worth. They want to share love, not rescue someone from their own self-doubt. Alfred Adler believed that all human behavior is goal-directed, and your goal in relationships has been to prove your worth instead of expressing your worth. You've been auditioning for love instead of simply being love. And that's exhausting for everyone involved. It's exhausting for you because you're constantly performing, constantly worried about saying the wrong thing or not being enough. And it's exhausting for them because they can feel the pressure of your need for validation. The reason you're in so much pain right now is because you handed your self-worth to someone who was never meant to carry it. You made them responsible for your happiness, your validation, your sense of being enough. You gave them the power to determine whether you're worthy of love. And when they couldn't handle that responsibility, because no one can, you felt abandoned all over again. But here's the truth. Abandonment isn't what happened to you. Liberation is what happened to you. You've been freed from the exhausting task of trying to be perfect for someone who wasn't meant for you. You've been released from the prison of conditional love. You've been given the opportunity to finally learn what it means to love yourself without needing someone else's approval. Nathaniel Branden taught us that self-esteem isn't something we get from others. It's something we cultivate within ourselves. Every time you seek validation from someone else, you're essentially saying, I don't trust my own judgment about my worth. But your worth isn't up for debate. That's not determined by votes or selections or choices made by people who don't even know themselves. Your worth is inherent, unchanging, and completely independent of anyone else's opinion. The truth is, you don't need to be chosen to be valuable. You don't need to be picked to be worthy. You don't need to be someone's first choice to be your own first choice. But you've been so focused on being loved that you forgot to be lovable to yourself. You've been so busy trying to earn love that you forgot love isn't something you earn, it's something you are. Right now you're grieving the loss of potential, the future you imagined, the person you thought you could become with them. But that future was built on a foundation of someone else's approval. It was never stable to begin with. You were trying to build a life on the shifting sand of someone else's feelings about you. Here's what I want you to do. Stop calling it rejection. Start calling it redirection. They didn't reject you, and they redirected you back to yourself. They didn't abandon you. They revealed that you had abandoned yourself long before they came along. They showed you that you've been looking for love in all the wrong places, in someone else's eyes instead of in your own heart. The person who's meant for you won't make you feel like you have to earn their love. They won't make you question your worth or wonder if you're enough. They'll see your value immediately, because they recognize value in themselves. Secure people don't play games with insecure people. They don't have time for it. They're not attracted to desperation or neediness. They're attracted to wholeness, to someone who loves themselves enough to not need rescuing. But first, you need to become the person who doesn't need to be chosen to feel complete. You need to develop what Rogers called unconditional positive self-regard. You need to love yourself so deeply that someone else's inability to love you doesn't shake your foundation. You need to be so secure in your own worth that rejection becomes impossible, not because everyone will choose you, but because you'll already have chosen yourself. The rejection hurt because you believed this time was different. And you were right. It was different. It was different because this time you get to choose yourself. This time you get to decide that your worth isn't determined by someone else's capacity to see it. This time you get to break the cycle of seeking validation from people who can't give it to you. Stop waiting for someone to choose you. Start choosing yourself. Stop waiting for someone to see your value. Start seeing your value. Stop waiting for someone to love you the way you deserve to be loved. Start loving yourself that way. Stop looking for someone to complete you. Start completing yourself. The person who rejected you isn't thinking about you right now. They've moved on. They're probably not even aware of the pain they caused you. But you're still here, still carrying their opinion of you like it's gospel truth. It's not. Their opinion is just one person's limited perspective on your unlimited worth. Their inability to see your value doesn't diminish your value. It reveals their limitations, not yours. You are not too much for the right person. You are not too sensitive, too needy, too intense. You are exactly enough, exactly as you are. The rejection didn't happen because you're not enough. It happened because you're not right for each other. And that's not a tragedy. That's clarity. That's the universe saying this isn't your person, so don't waste your time trying to force it. The pain you're feeling right now is your soul mourning the death of illusion. The illusion that someone else could complete you, fix you, save you. The illusion that external love could heal internal wounds. The illusion that being chosen by someone else is more important than choosing yourself. But completion isn't something someone gives you. It's something you claim for yourself. So thank them for the rejection. Thank them for showing you that you're still looking for love in all the wrong places. Thank them for revealing that you've been trying to fill an internal void with external validation. Thank them for redirecting you back to the only love that will never leave you, the love you have for yourself. The rejection hurt because you believed this time was different, and it was. This time, you get to choose healing over chasing. This time, you get to choose self-love over seeking love. This time, you get to choose yourself, not as a consolation prize, but as the greatest gift you could ever give yourself. Because the truth is, you've always been enough. You've always been worthy. You've always been lovable. The only thing that's changed is your willingness to see it.